All right, well, we're live. We're going to see how this goes. Yeah, so this is a I-Novae developer stream. We have some buffering issues on our end. I'm having some issues with network frame drops. I'm not sure what's causing the problem. It'll mean that the stream might have some poor quality if you're trying to watch along with us live. Not entirely sure what's causing the issue. Tried to resolve it. It was working perfectly last night, so I'm thinking it might be my local ISP. No idea, but we'll soldier on through. We have patch notes to review today. Those are linked in the description. If you're new to the project, we have Discord links down below as well. Pop on the server if you have any questions, bug reports, or feedback. I have Flavian Brebian here with me, our head programmer on the project. Hey, and we're going to review those notes now. So I don't actually have them up. I can actually do that like this. I had to restart the computer to fix this, so I'm just reopening some stuff. Here we go. So gonna go over to the patch notes. We kind of have a list of things we want to go over, starting of course with the major or the larger feature for this patch, which is the sandbox. I'm just going to open that now here and get that screen open. Flavian's on a bit of a delay. He's kind of watching the stream to work along with us here. But what I've got is the sandbox screen is open. And this is essentially a local server that you run. So if you want to play single player, or in the future you want to host your own player run server, this is the interface that, or the start of the interface that will enable all of that.
Sandbox is completely offline, and the idea is that at some point we will have a co-op mode, and people can join, let's say, a remote. That's weird. The join button on the main menu. But yeah, it does not require any authentication, so you can play it entirely offline. Like that's the whole point of the option.
Yeah. And then a big part of what that means, the question is like, why are we doing this? Why are we having a single player mode, an offline mode if we're building a multiplayer game that kind of relies on a multiplayer player base? And a big part of that is player hosted servers. This is the framework that will allow that in the future. Modding, people will be able to test their mods locally and then run mods locally. And then also on their own hosted servers. So if you want to have a different type of game mode that you've built, modifying using what we have and then adapting it, you can do that. And this is kind of a step in that direction. We've kind of wanted to have mod support and player hosted servers from the beginning. And so this is kind of pushing us towards that. So we have the 3 different game modes, like I was saying earlier. Single battle, so you can choose to be on offense or defense. Kind of have to have one of these selected for that. I'm not sure what happens if they're both selected, but single battle will just play a single battle and then it's over. You can kind of filter what ships are available to the AI right now. I think in future, Flavian was saying that this would also apply to players if you want it to.
Yeah, I will explain later, but the idea is that we will expand on the dialogue and add some gameplay modifiers. And then you will be able to add a gameplay modifier to restrict if you want certain options to apply to players as well.
Yeah. And then, like Flavian was saying, the entire menu here will expand, and there will be additional options. You can choose with more detail what you want the game mode to reflect.
In terms of game modes, so we have the single player, which is a single battle, as you can expect. Multiple battles, which right now works a bit like a best of 3, except that it only counts assault, like teams on offense and not on defense. So technically, it could be up to 6 battles. And finally, we have the full match. On that one, I need to comment because like it's the equivalent of what you have online in the multiplayer online. which I think it's up to 32 battles, if I remember well. But there is no persistency, which means that if you start a full match, unless you play, I don't know, 12 hours straight, you probably will not reach the end of the entire match. So right now we are a bit conflicted on whether we should support persistency for the full match, because that's a lot of work for us to implement it. And yeah, it's not like it's a very important feature. But yeah, we're still working on all of that. You can select the environment as well. So you have the small environment, medium and large. And this defines the size of the solar system and the amount of bases you find in, or battlescapes you find in the solar system. So if you play, for example, the game mode, a single battle in a large environment, a large battlescape, then it's going to select randomly one of the bases where the battle is going to take place. And it's also why you have a seed. You can see here on the right of the screen. So it's a number. 0 meaning it's going to be randomized every time you launch a sandbox game. But you can also enter a fixed number, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you do that, every time you will launch the sandbox, you will end up with the same environment. So you can replay the same match or battle with the same conditions every time.
Yeah, I just kind of showed that there. And then, yeah, the small environment, medium and large. So depending on what your machine is capable of. There was also a question of having fine-tuning of the number of bots that you can spawn.
Yes, so right now you cannot do that directly. But you have to keep in mind that, for example, a full match, you will probably have a lot of bots running on your local server. And so that can impact a lot performance. So if, let's say, you want to play a massive battle at one of the biggest bases, and let's say you restrict the ship types, you know, the ship classes, you have these little icons representing the ship classes. Let's say you only select small ships like interceptors and bombers, but you exclude capital ships. You are going to end up with a battle which has a ton of ships, like maybe 300, 400 plus ships. And then maybe you can run into performance problems, like locally. So you have to be aware, if you play a sandbox with very complex battles, you better have a pretty good CPU.
Okay, so I'll just spawn a multi-battle match here then. Because the performance will be heavier in a large environment, I'm just going to spawn a medium environment. I'll just leave the seed 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm choosing Scoria. I'd like to see land bases only, so I'm going to turn off the space stations. And offense, defense, I'll just leave it as both.
Well, in terms of performance, it's better to have space stations only.
Oh, really? Well, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, well, your frame rate is a bit lower when you are around a planet.
It's a bit lower. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna, and keep land bases. I'm gonna launch the game because there are a few other things we want to show. And now that we're actually kind of rolling through the update here, kind of gone through why we're doing this. There we go. So first thing we're going to show off is our new warp visual effects. So depending, the stream should be good in replay. I don't know about live, but stop thinking about that. Let the game load here. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to spawn over here. New Earth base. We'll go to a space station actually. Big Gemini station might be a place to go. Now I'm not connected to a server. I'm connected to my local server. So it's just running on my local machine, like so. So no one else is seeing this. Let's see. Yeah, I'll spawn over at Hevelos. And I'll spawn in an interceptor. So the final thing we wanted to do before pushing to the 1.0 release is a visual polish pass. Hello. And the visual polish pass is going to cover a lot of visual effects in game that are currently placeholder or haven't been implemented. And the first, I don't want to say completely the first, but one of the first things that's been really worked on and implemented is this new warp effect. So Jan's been spending a good amount of time tweaking this and getting this right. And this is the first implementation. There's still some more work to do on it, but this is the direction that it's headed in now. It's going to accelerate to that warp threshold. Here we go. All right, there we go. So that's the new visual effect. Each ship has a customized effect for entry and for in-flight visuals. So there's a bit of a magnetic field line effect going around the ship once you're in warp. And then when you exit, we have a bit of a interruption effect there. So that's in part, when you drop warp, it's in part to communicate to other players in game that you've exited or entered warp. Do that again. Let's head over to mission screen. Neutral. Oh, that is my target. It's on defense. I'm going to head over there for a second. There we go. And I'm flying right now with throttle, stick, pedals, and track IR. For anybody that's new to the game, that's typically how I like to play. At least with the small ships. I'll still play keyboard and mouse with the capital ships. There's just a lot more going on with them. Okay, and let's also have a look at what it looks like from outside the ship as well. So this is visible on any ship that it enters warp. So you'll be able to see it from third person and other ships in the environment. There we go. Heading down to the surface here. And another thing of note with warp is that when you exit warp, your momentum when you entered is no longer retained. So there have been a couple of little gameplay tweaks that we've made as well. Since we're talking about the warp drive, it makes sense to talk about that now. If you entered warp at a high velocity, you would retain that velocity when you exit. However, you'd end up with situations where you drop to a really low warp speed. So you can, while maintaining a warp drive, you can drop really low. And then you could sit in warp and drop warp and suddenly accelerate, and it would cause rubber banding and some visual issues, as well as some cheesy tactics that are now more difficult to deploy than they were before.
It was also to help some of the new players, which were always crashing into planets. They were warping out, and they were still flying at kilometers per second and crashing into the ground.
Yeah. Okay, let's show off some of the other ships then. Navigate carefully.
You don't have to show all the other ships, but maybe you can show capital ship, maybe the destroyer or something.
Yeah, I definitely want to show a cap. I'll just eject here. Kaboom. So before I do that, just swap my controls over. Like I said, I use keyboard and mouse for the capital ships, and every ship has a unique warp. Couldn't call it signature. Warp visual effect. I'll go with this guy. Oh, so something else to take note of is, so I just ran a local server. There are no options in the menu right now to have everything unlocked. That's something that I believe we're going to be adding in the future.
We will be adding that with the gameplay modifiers, as well as the free flight mode.
Yeah, so like unlock all items, so you can actually come in and actually play in it like it's a sandbox. You try out different loadouts, that and all of that. So in this case, I'm just gonna spawn a default destroyer. Actually, oh, I can't spawn the low tech. That's sad. And also my rank, but my rank has been increased artificially just through some in chat commands. Let's spawn. Oh, just spawn anywhere. That's fine. Yep, spawn there. Okay, I'm just gonna turn off the track IR. Yeah, let's leave it on. It's pretty. Turn off the HUD for a second while we watch this. So same thing again. Got to get up to that warp threshold. So I'm getting over that purple caret on the speedometer there, and engage that warp drive. There we go. All right, and there it is. That's the warp effect for the destroyer. Yeah, so there's a couple questions. Let me just turn that off for a second. A couple questions in the chat there, Flavian, that we could address for a second here, just because I brought it up. DS4 controller support. I'm pretty sure.
We do have a profile for gamepad.
Yeah.
I don't think there is one specifically for the DS4, but it should be similar. So you can simply, duplicate one of the existing profiles, or you can reconfigure it. Like you rebind the buttons to your liking.
Yeah, and just to show that off, we have a pretty robust keyboard customizing system here under keybinds. Essentially, set your profile. At the moment, you have to create a duplicate in the game files. You want to build a custom one, or you can customize an existing one. I can show you.
Yeah, the only problem with gamepad really is that we have a lot of functionality on the keyboard, and we're a bit out of buttons on the gamepad. So if you want to have really everything, you need to bind it through combos of various buttons, which is a bit not super easy. And another thing which we haven't implemented is using the gamepad to control the menus.
Yeah.
So right now you can play in-game with the gamepad, but in the menu it's still better to use the mouse.
Yeah. So if you have a hybrid solution, that can work. The mouse and keyboard are still input devices, separate from your assigned input devices, from what I understand.
Yeah,
so,
it's not.
So
it's not the ideal implementation, but we will polish it a little bit by next year.
Yeah, and if you're going to be playing with an input device other than keyboard and mouse, under controls, you'll want to set your default control scheme. So there's a number of control schemes here. Joystick, gamepad, HOTAS works best with those devices, whereas the virtual cursor is the go-to for me for when I'm flying ships with flying in cockpit ships with virtual joystick. Capital ship mode is kind of custom for cap ships. Yeah, just to review that, saying to how the support ship functions. And I can actually just show it here. I have a match going with a single battle on a large battlescape. So you kind of see it in the star map here. It's a single planetary system with 4 moons, technically 5 moons if you want to count Gallia as a moon. It's not really like a captured asteroid, very large asteroid. So I'm just going to fly the support ship. The mission is a offense mission at land assault, so I'm just going to spawn at the nearest possible location. Yeah, it just went black. We're good. Nothing. Set my speed. Get back up to speed here. Yeah. Same thing here. Get up to speed, get that warp drive going. Oh, it's important to know too, all the planets are 1-to-1 scale. Just gonna switch my graphics display to gray. Okay, so in the bottom left-hand corner, right below my speedometer, there's an RP250, and that represents the resupply points that my hauler currently has. So, being the hauler now, you have a limit of 250 repair points, or resupply points, that will either go into repair or resupplying munitions to allied ships. So I'm going to target our fleet carrier and head towards that. And as you use your resupply and repair, you'll end up losing or using those resupply points. There we go. So the battle's already underway. Kind of started without me, of course. So ships are blowing up, and every time a ship is destroyed, you can see it on screen right now.
Capital ship.
Yeah, a capital ship. They'll essentially dump cargo, so these supply crates, which I can then use. I have to go and collect them to replenish my resupply points. It's kind of like a really rudimentary salvage mechanic. It's a little bit more hands-off though. So I'm going to hop over here. I see a destroyer that has lower health and probably needs some resupply as well. Get within those 3 kilometers. There we go. Start repairing and resupplying. You can see my repair points are depleting. And his hull is repairing nicely. Oh, he dropped a mine right in front of me. That's okay. Just avoid that. Okay, perfect. Now that I've depleted about little over 100 of my resupply points, I'm going to quickly scan the area. There's some resources here and here. There's some more accessible ones. Some of the resupply crates or the resource crates end up inside debris pieces. Something that someone noticed. I don't know if you've seen that, Flavian.
I did, but if you get close enough, you will tractor beam them normally.
Oh, okay, it'll still. Yeah, so I've just used some of my. Yeah, I've used some of those resupply points now. I want to come over here and start to collect debris. Just have to get close to it, you get close enough, and it'll automatically pull towards your ship. The closer you get, the faster it moves towards your ship. So, in a sense, this requires, and here we go, let's get another one. Thank you. Now, right away, I can turn around and start selecting allies again and resupplying them. So, before the carrier or the support ship here was able to kind of have an endless resupply and repair, which kind of broke multiplayer. You just have a couple haulers flying behind some beefed up capital ships and they became invincible, little flotillas. So this forces the hauler to have a more active gameplay, where Sorry, I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we have to explain, like, to the viewers that
yeah,
this ship previously in very old versions of the game we called it the hauler. So right now we are used to call it the hauler internally, not the support ship.
yeah. So I'm still I have a hard time. Oh, that guy blew up before I got there. I have a hard time remembering that it's actually the support ship now. But it forces the pilot of a support ship to actually pay more attention to the environment, keep an eye out for supply crates as they're in the battle, and they can't just
Yeah,
sit next to an ally.
we really wanted, to have a more dynamic gameplay, because the problem with the previous patch is that not only was the support ship like infinite resources, repair and resupply, but also it was a very passive gameplay. Like you really stood near an ally fleet and you repaired everything, and that's it. And I don't think it was that interesting to play. But now, since you are depleting your resources, you have to be more dynamic. You have to get away from the core of the fleet and take some risks to replenish a bit your resource points with the crates.
Like right now, oh, I just dodged that torpedo. I'm also relying a little bit more on capital ships for support. So we made the hauler a little bit weaker, in the sense that you have fewer resupply drones. You have to now use your resupply points to be able to replenish your allies. But you also have a fewer number of countermeasures. So
the shield's regen rate is also a bit lower.
yeah, so the regeneration on shields was pretty strong before, so that's been reduced.
Oh, it was super OP.
Yeah, and the other thing now too with the repair drones is that when you fire a repair drone, it moves towards its target. Once it hits and reaches that destination, it now repairs over time after the drone reaches its target rather than an instant heal. So there we go. An instant repair. So it takes a little bit more time. You still get those objective scores. It's just over a longer period of time following the drone's arrival. Now I have a mine tracking me right behind me.
Two things to note. We also buffed the mobility, like the acceleration of the drones. So they fly a bit faster to their target now. And second thing is that so the effect is over time, but it can stack. So if you launch multiple drones, like 2 repair drones at the target, and both hit, then it will double the speed at which it repairs the target.
Yeah, so I'm firing.
I think the repair, their effect is lasting over 15 seconds or something.
Yeah. So I'm helping this cruiser right now. He's taking fire from a couple different points. Heavily damaged. It's a spinal cruiser. I want to keep that thing alive. It's bombarding the base down below. And I've brought him from I've doubled the hull armor on this guy now, or the hull health. There we go. And then I'm gonna run out of my repair in a second. So I'm already starting to look at my little bubble radar to figure out where those crates are. Yeah, there's a bunch of them over in the fleet, so I'm going to select one. I'm going to help him one more time.
There is a hotkey, I think it's Alt plus H, to target the nearest one.
Yep. Unfortunately, Alt triggers the chaff lock-in.
Oh yeah, well, you rebound.
Yeah, I've rebound things, so my control scheme isn't.
Okay.
Could quickly do a tactical warp. No, that didn't work. All right, so you kind of get an idea of the support ship's gameplay changes now. And I'm in trouble. So now that I'm having to move away from the fleet, I'm tracking torpedoes coming in on me now. Yeah, there it is. Okay, the fleet protected me. That's good. Okay, so just head over to some resupplies. I've got only, how much there? 72 resupply points. Each crate, oh, going a little too fast. Let's let them catch up with me. There we go. 2 crates, I'm back to 250. Takes a minute to get over there, get it done, but once I've got them, it's back at it. Each resupply crate, it looks like it's 2 drones per resupply crate as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so now instead of the 1 that I had left, I have 4. Oh, no, I fired the last one. So I had none left. So I'm going to help out this guy now. And I am taking enough fire that it's become a bit of a concern here. Alright. Oh, my drone missed. I'm taking way too much damage. So, if you're somebody that likes to play support, you want to be a little bit more logistics focused in a multiplayer environment, the hauler should be a little bit more interesting to play than it had previous. And that's kind of the conclusion from that. So I'm just going to eject. Something else, I think the match is going to come to a close here pretty quickly. Something to show off here, which we could probably do on a multiplayer server. So I'm gonna pop back to the main menu. So popping to the main menu, it basically shuts down the local server, and then if you pop back into the sandbox, you're going to be loading a new match. You're not saving anything and then returning to it at this time. So for multiplayer, I'll pop onto a multiplayer server. So I've got a bunch of people on US East 1 for the event. So I'm going to join that. And so there's been a weapon added for the bomber, and that would be a EMP torpedo. So it's a larger EMP, it's a larger version of the EMP missile. And there may be some impact on balancing. Oh, we got an even 8 and 8. That's nice. There may be some impact on balancing, so that's something we're looking for feedback on. Oof, there's a massive number of ships there. There's a Glimmerfall battle. On defense, perfect. So I'm going to go for the bomber. I'm going to switch my controls back over to my HOTAS setup. Oh, other direction. There we go. Just like that. I'm going to go for I'm going to have to unlock, but I have a heavy torpedo loadout here. Now the thing is, if you're going to be using EMP torpedoes, the bomber only has a single torpedo slot. So I'm making a choice between doing massive damage to shields and armor and hull, or shields and hull, or I'm choosing to do more damage to shields. Come on. Oh, there we go. Unlock it. So I'm going to unlock the shield, the EMP torpedoes. So this is one of those things where it's maybe not useful as a single bomber attacking a cruiser, but this is something where you can assist other ships in taking down larger capital ships. So if they're already engaged, you can tip the scales and help out your allies in that way. I'm going to go for defense, get my controls all set, get everything tracked back in place. There we go. Let's get moving. So we got lots of targets out there. This is a heavy loadout. I'm also gonna look at the warp visuals here. Oh, you know what? They're collapsing in on the station, aren't they? Yeah, it looks like they're collapsing in on the station now. That's a destroyer right off this direction. EMP torpedo. He's already taking shots at me.
So the EMP torpedo deals only energy damage, but compared to normal torpedoes, kinetic torpedoes, the main interest is that they deal 50% more energy damage. So like they're more specialized than the normal torpedoes. But in exchange of being more specialized, they're also like more lethal.
Yeah, so I've got a cruiser over here engaged with an enemy cruiser. Allied, I'm gonna go assist. 36 kilometers out. getting up to a decent speed. There's also no destroyers in the area, so the likelihood of these torpedoes reaching is good. Incoming missiles, and it's a spinal cruiser, so let's take this guy down. It's already making good work of the target. Oh! Brilliant. So I just got taken out. Let's just spawn again. I just want to show this the detonation here, just once. Let's get a target that we can hit. Sure. Let's get away from the station. There's too much going on. Wait, yeah, they're all going for the reactor, so at least this. Go. Hi, Jan. Jan's in game right now. Okay, let's move away from the station. Pick a target. Oh, we got a few targets out there. A few players working. Yep, I've still got the target selected that I want. Come about. Like I said, heavy bomber loadout. It's a much slower loadout. Alright, we got random passerby. Okay, this guy's got still some pretty heavy shields. Okay, mission is a success, but I can still show off the visuals here. Assuming somebody else doesn't take it out first. That one's gonna hit. There goes. Boom. Massive EMP damage, did crazy shield damage to it. It's right beside an allied cruiser as well, so it's going to take massive hits from that. Yeah, so in the same way that we were saying earlier, this isn't something you're going to be able to just destroy targets with. There it goes. Yeah, it just blew up. There goes another one. There goes another one. There's a resupply crate.
Oh yeah, you can destroy your resupply crates with other ships as well.
There you go. There's way too much AMS around. Can't even. Nope, I'm not going to be able to land anything. That one might hit. Nice! Yeah, massive damage on that target. Cut those shields down really allows the kinetic weapons to do a lot more damage to those targets. Because you got a lot of players in here as well right now. Yeah, that target's gone. Yeah, that one's down next. Just targets popping left and right. Yeah. So we got a link to the patch notes in the description there. If you want to go and read them on your own time. I'm gonna go over. There have been a number of bug fixes and other tweaks. Is there anything else you want to review with the patch notes there, Flavia? Let me just.
No, I think that's all. Maybe we can quickly mention our future plans.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
in the
that'd be good to go over.
Coming weeks is adding the gameplay modifiers for the Sandbox mod. We have a bunch of additional bug fixes and improvements to do, and we will continue on visual effects, on a visual polish path. For example, we want to add a decal system, you know, for explosions and debris and things like that on ships. We have re-entry effect in atmospheres. We have a bunch of, let's say, revamping the gas giant looks, which is a big blue ball at the moment. We want to have more defined features in it. So that's mostly for the polish part. We want to add also more planets in game. So there is a bit of technical development for that. But the idea is that in a month or two, we should add a handful of additional planets on environments in game.
Yeah.
And the next year, we will focus on cross-server persistency. And we will also add to our databases internally everything that is needed for the rewards, the Kickstarter and crowdfunding rewards, skins, cosmetics, and everything else.